Hey everyone, and welcome. My name is John Nerrill. I want to welcome you to my weekly Facebook Live, and today I've got a wonderful guest for you. I want to introduce you to Jennifer Miller, who is an outstanding health coach and professional. She's also a client of mine, and I'm so happy to welcome her to the show. Jennifer, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to participate.
Yeah, same here. So we're going to have a good time today. We're going to keep this really relaxed and conversational. We're going to have a few laughs along the way. And most importantly, you're going to get a chance to tell your story. So I'm really honored that you get to do that today. Thank you for doing it here. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who are joining for the first time, welcome. For those of you who have been around for a while, it's always great to have you back. As I said, my name is John Nerrill. I help professionals who are ambitious about their careers create their next advancement opportunity. And I help them do that by identifying how they choose to show up energetically and professionally in the workplace to make the impact they know they are capable of. So I've got a lot of free resources on my website at johnnerrill.com. You can check them out. And there I have a free workbook available for you, which is called 3 Steps to Creating Your Next Advancement Opportunity Without Feeling Overwhelmed. Simply click on the link, confirm your email subscription. It'll get you the workbook, and it will also download you into my email community, where I email everybody Monday, Friday, and one other day during the week. And I let them know about exciting interviews like this. Jennifer's part of my email list, and you get them. And I'm part of your email list, which is awesome. And we get to share some information. I get to specifically share it around leadership and career stuff, and you get to share it around some health and wellness issues as well. We've got some people that are coming into the room, so hi to everybody. If you are watching for part of this, always remember that these episodes are stored on my YouTube channel and in the Learning Hub on my website. So Rich and Sean, it is great to see you guys. Thanks so much. And with that being said, I've talked enough. So we got it all out of the way. Right? So Jennifer, for everybody out there that's watching with us live or catching this on the replay, please tell us about yourself.
So first of all, thank you again. And hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for watching. So my name is Jennifer Miller, and I am a health and wellness coach. I'm also a corporate professional, and I'm a consultant for Arbonne Selling that specializes in health and wellness products. So, you know, my story started many years ago. I would say about 10 years ago, I really became focused on my health and how I was paying attention to my health. Unfortunately, it was an event in my life that was tragic. It was watching my father suffer from type 2 diabetes, which ended up taking his life. And I really started to question, you know, choices that we make and how I could live a better life and be healthier. So I really began my health journey. And it's difficult, I think, especially, you know, when you're starting it kind of later in life. Maybe you didn't grow up in a family that focused really on health and wellness. And there's so much information out there that was confusing to me. It was frustrating. It was difficult. And I was introduced to Arbonne, which really changed my life. And I fell in love with their products. It gave me the thirst to really want to learn more. And their corporate culture just spoke to me. I really felt that they were standing behind me. They were standing behind their products. And again, you know, as a corporate professional, I'm successful in the corporate world, very demanding job. But I was kind of coming to a crossroads with my skills and where I was going to go next. And lo and behold, one day I get an email from John Nerrill saying, you know, hey, I'm launching a career coaching business. And I thought, well, if the universe isn't knocking on my door. So, you know, through our meetings, which again, another pivotal moment in my life that changed my life, and you changed my path, really made me stop and realize my true passion for health and wellness. So I went back to school to earn my certification as a health coach so that I could help everyday people. Really, I just want to help people really focus on their health and wellness goals and lead their most energetic life.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jennifer, what I love about your story so much is that you've focused so much on growth, right? Your own personal growth and how you've been able to take certain events that have happened in your life, both personally and professionally, and move with them. So oftentimes we hear people say they kind of run away from them or they shift away from them, but you've moved with them, and that's what's kind of brought you to this point. And so one of the things I'm really curious about is, what is it specifically about your health coaching business, or what you've been able to do with Arbonne, that you believe provides the most benefits to your customers and your clients?
So I love that you use the word growth, because I feel that both Arbonne and the coaching school that I chose, which is the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, really take a holistic approach. It's not about calories. It's not all about the food, just the food that you're putting in your body. Health and wellness is so much more than that. And to me, that was very inspirational, because they really look at each individual and they say, we are all individuals. We have different needs, and we all have to keep growing. No matter what our goal is, there's going to be changes. There's going to be shifts. Nothing is going to stay constant. What works for you today may not work a year from now. And, Arbonne really instills a great deal of personal development in their program and training for their consultants. It's what their culture is rich of. And I was sort of missing that in the corporate world. In the corporate world, you have to do your required training every year. And yes, I went back to school and I earned my master's degree, an MBA, and that was great. And I always sought out that personal growth and how can I be better and how can I learn more. And I felt like Arbonne and IIN really promote that. And they say, everybody needs to continue to adjust to life's changes and be okay that life is going to change. Don't fight it. Just figure out then where that path is going to continue to lead you down to keep you healthy and keep your life energetic and have a great quality of life.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so one of the things that you and I have talked a lot about is how we show up, right?
Yes.
So much, right? So show up stands for set ground rules, have intentional conversations, own where you're at, welcome new opportunities, use your genius, and protect and promote your brand. And so when you think about how you yourself have shown up in the workplace and how you've shown up as an entrepreneur and a business owner, one of the things that always comes to mind when I think about you is about how intentional you are. And how intentional you are, where you set your mind to something and you go ahead and do it. So share with us a little bit about this whole theme about being intentional and where that comes from for you.
Okay, so I'm going to give you, I'm going to direct that credit back to you. So I really think that our coaching sessions are what helped me really understand what intentional was. So yes, I've always been an achiever, that if I set out to do something, I would get it done. It doesn't mean that I did it in the most painless way, So I took a lot of life's lessons and would have, I take a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, and we all do. But I definitely went to the school of hard knocks a lot. And I feel like through our sessions, in talking about what it is to be intentional and understanding what my own personality style is, it really makes me understand how to say what I need from the conversation. So there's a lot less frustration. I feel that I don't have to take as many punches from the world, because I know now that going in, I'm clear in my mind. What am I looking to walk away from this with? And I ask for that. And before we started working together, people would easily detract me, and because of my personality style, I would placate them, and I would kind of go along with it, and I'd walk away frustrated, and I'd say, all right, now how am I going to go back to it? Like I said, and I'd have to take a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. Now I can kind of stop the conversation and say, okay, I understand that, and I'd love to talk more about that, but really I need to focus on this right now, and I need you to focus here with me. And I can really ask for what I want. And I think that that's been a credit to our sessions together, which you've really helped me hone in on that and define that, so I'm clear in my mind why I want that and that it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. And thank you for all of that. I mean, how often have we talked about there's such a difference between asking for what we need and asking for what we want?
Yes.
Right. And so when we show up intentionally, when we have those kind of conversations, there are those absolute things that we must have, the things that we need in order to help move us forward. And then there's the stuff that we have, that we want. Right, that's really going to help us move in a very particular way that's beyond just the ground rules or the basics, but things that are really going to help elevate us and push us forward. And I'm sure you see that a lot with your own clients, your meetup group, for example. Things that just really helping people show up more intentionally to help them go after what it is they want.
Right. And really helping them understand what they want, because a lot of times, especially in the health industry, and I learned this really going through my learning phase with Arbonne, is people will say, well, I want to lose weight. Okay, but why do you want to lose weight? What does that mean to you? What is that going to bring to your life? And it really helps people define, because it may not be that they're trying to lose weight. It may be that they're trying to feel like they want more energy. Yes, weight loss can come with that, but there's a different way to approach that than focusing on the scale, which is where a lot of people get frustrated and a lot of people fail, and then they lose weight and they don't feel more energetic, and they say, well, this healthy stuff is for the birds. Yeah. So they want to give up. So it's really helping people say, well, why? Why do you want that? Tell me a little bit more about that, because we can get that goal done, and we can do it in a way that's simple. That's the thing. It has to be simple for people to really make life-lasting changes.
Yeah. And so as you drill down a little bit more with the why, and you get really clear with your clients on the why piece, what in your experience would you say is the biggest thing that holds people back from achieving their goal?
So I think really one of the number one reasons is not understanding their goal. Mm-hmm. So they've identified maybe the wrong target. And there's so much information on the market that is very, very confusing. And it's not even correct. The way our guidelines have dictated that food is labeled is very, very confusing to people. And they go in and then they might spend more money on something because it boasts of some health benefit. And the reality of it is it's just marketing. And so they don't get to their goal, but again, they've identified the wrong goal. They want wellness. People, when they really start to feel healthy, that number on the scale really takes a back seat. And most people just don't realize that. So I think it's understanding for themselves what their real goal is and understanding how to get there.
There's so much. I love how you said that too. And there's so much value in the journey.
Yes.
We want to get to point B from point A, but there's a lot that happens between A and B that we get to learn and we get to experience, and we get to deal with the challenges of all that. And I think that's such a great point. And one of the things that, we've talked about a lot in our work too, just about, we always want the end result, but we've also got to take the time in order to get there.
I just listened to a training this morning, actually, from one of our executive national vice presidents, and she talked about the journey, and it really spoke to me because she said, it's very easy for us to sometimes get caught up in the compare game. Mm-hmm. And that person is getting there quicker, or they're doing it. It looks easy for them. And you really detract yourself again from just meeting your goal instead of focusing on your commitment and what you've made. So I think people can get really easily sidetracked from that.
Yeah. And so nice too. Do you remember the was it podcast or training or whatever you listened to? Do you remember exactly?
It was a training. Yeah, it was just a training. Yeah, Arbonne does trainings every week for us.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, that's such a good point, right? Because we live in an age where everything is about the immediate gratification, the instant results. And how oftentimes have we both said, sometimes you got to slow down in order to speed up. And just being able to.
My new saying, I have a dream vision board in my office here at home, and I change the saying from time to time. And I just changed it today because this is what I was feeling I needed to remind myself of, is that success looks like a lot like failure until you hit the finish line.
Oh,
so it's just remembering that, you know what, it's not easy. It wasn't easy for anybody that you see as successful. They had a lot of failure along the way.
I like that a lot. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Amy just walked into the room. So
hi, Amy. Amy Farrah Meowler.
Amy does not like to be left out of the office when there's a conversation going on. So
and I have no idea if I spell her name correctly every time I do it, but I love it. I have to do the whole thing.
So I try to, so full disclosure, right? So I see the cattail walk by. I have this glass of water. It now has a bug in it, so I can't drink that. This coffee mug is too obnoxious. So there we go, right? And I just want something with frosting on it.
I'm going to send you some frosting after this.
There we go.
My thank you gift.
Exactly. So I want to transition the conversation a little bit, because I think there's part of your story that is so powerful that we need to share a little bit here, and that is your leadership development. And so in thinking about being a successful career professional with over 20 years in an organization and now leading a business and growing that, I was just wondering if you could share a little bit about where have you seen the biggest growth in getting so clear on who you are as a leader?
So that's a great question, because they're really not independent. When I was probably started Arbonne maybe about 8 months before I started working with you, 8 or 9 months. And I started to notice, again, the development that they have us do to learn how to grow a network marketing business was really impacting my life in the corporate world, because it is about energy, and that was something you and I immediately started talking about and you were reinforcing. So I think for me, it really is understanding my energy. We all, again, we're all going to have bumps and bruises. It's going to happen. Life is going to throw us curveballs, and it's not always going to feel good. It's been a little bumpy lately, but I've always been one to kind of bounce back rather quickly. I think I have more of a positive outlook on life. But now I really understand when I'm having a down day, how to course correct that because of the impact I'm having on other people. Mm-hmm. So when and I had one recently where I walked away from a meeting and I said, boy, they could hear it in my voice that I just wasn't showing up today with my best energy. And I need to correct that because they deserve to have my best energy. They didn't create the situation that's causing the stress. And creating negative energy is not going to help the situation any. It's only going to make it worse. So it's recognizing when maybe I'm bringing the negative energy into the room, and being able to course correct that. And of course, it's critical as a coach and in Arbonne that I'm positive, right? What client wants to come and see me with a big puss on my face, right? They expect that. They don't expect me to have a bad day. It's kind of like when you're little, you don't look at your parents as being human, and all of a sudden as a young adult, when you realize they are, it's like a culture shock. You're like, what do you mean you have problems? Like you were supposed, you just handle it all, you know? So I think that that's kind of the expectation that we have as leaders. Is it doesn't always feel good, and I'm not saying to be disingenuous at all, but you do have a responsibility for understanding the people that are around you are relying on you bringing a certain energy to the table. And you have to show them that even when times are tough, you can approach it in a positive way so that everybody gets to move forward and you can move towards that goal. So I definitely think the energy level, I hope that answered the question.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you and I have talked a lot about just in terms of leadership development is that it is absolutely okay to be a heart-centered leader.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it is.
So you know, we have our own little language, right? Because you've taken the Energy Leadership Index assessment, and we always kind of come back to that. But as a level 4 leader who is primarily very heart-centered and people-focused in caregiving, you know, we've talked a lot about how there are moments when we can be a supportive leader for people on our team. There are moments we can be the cheerleader, and there are times when we just have to kind of very gently kick them in the butt to kind of get them to move on so they can really thrive in terms of what they're doing.
And that's what, you know, after I was talking, I think that's the point I was trying to make about not being, you know, it's not about not being genuine. It's okay if you don't have that energy and you have the opportunity to say to them, do we have to address this right now? Because if not, I'd rather table this for tomorrow. And you know, there was another article I read, Who Has the Monkey? And a lot of times as leaders, we may allow people to walk into our office and hand us their monkey and then leave. So, you know, we started this joke on my team where I would say when they'd come in with a problem, we can talk about a resolution, but when you leave, you're taking your monkey with you. Like the action item shouldn't always be on the leader. Like you said, you have to empower people to act on their own. And you can do that in a very respectful way, in a very caring way. And, you know, it doesn't mean being a pushover.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you could sum it up in a sentence or two, how would you define who you are as a leader?
I am somebody who I act with integrity, and I expect those that I'm interacting with to have integrity. I do care really about the people, and I want people to be successful. I believe that we could all be successful together. It doesn't have to be an us versus them or a me versus you. So I would say that, you know, integrity is at the heart of who I am. And I do like to focus on collaboration and bringing everybody up as I rise.
You know, I kind of threw that question at you, right? You answered it beautifully. But here's the thing that I want people who are listening to pay really, really close attention to that. When you are competent and confident in who you are, your answer is clear, and it begins with an I am. Not once did you say, well, I think, or, you know, maybe. It was full of conviction and confidence. And I love that, you know, because so oftentimes when we're having these conversations, either with our peers, with people on our team, with executive leadership, you know, whomever they may be, we want to be careful of those words that we kind of throw out there.
Yes.
I think one of the worst things you can ever say in an interview, if you are not asked an opinion question, is, well, I think. No, if they're asking you for information, you need to be very, very clear about it. It's how we show up. It's how we present ourselves in that way. And so I absolutely love how you answered that. Thank you. And I know that was really authentic and genuine. And by the way, just so you can see this, so my friend Sean weighed in.
Oh, why, thank you, Sean. And he has such a nice, friendly name.
He does. He really, really does. Yes. And he's a really good bowler, too. That's how.
Wow. I know a couple of those.
Yeah. Here's another really good bowler and someone whom we know, right? There's Rich chiming in. Proud of my sister. Absolutely, Rich. I'm proud of your sister, too. Absolutely.
I'm proud of my brother. That goes both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sean chimed in a little earlier too. He had said, he loved the why portion, knowing why I want it. And you were talking about some health goals and things like that in there. Absolutely.
Very important.
Yeah. So are you up for a few questions if anybody's got them?
I am, sure.
Yeah. All right. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to go ahead, type them in the box. We still got some people in here and do all that. Like
there's no bug in my water, so I'm going to have
so lucky. You are so lucky. I mean, I could drink it, but it's, nah, I'll save the protein for later.
When I was training for a half marathon, I am not a bug person, not even a little bit. I am not about to save the bugs. But we would run outside and it was very humid. It was summer and those little gnats would be flying all over. And I told people when it comes down to I'm training for this half marathon, so I'm running distances I've never run before, and I'm just trying to make it out alive, a little bug would fly in my mouth and I would say, whatever, it's protein. I got to keep going as long as I'm still standing.
Absolutely. So we've got a question here, Jen, and that is,
okay.
Can you talk a little bit about the concept of food shaming?
Oh, food shaming is a topic that's near and dear to me. And I really think that people do it very unintentionally. We talk about having intention. They do it unintentionally. But, I've had people say to me, and I've even had this conversation with my husband many times, if we're out in a crowd and I order something and he might say, that's a very healthy choice you're making. Now he's trying to be very nice and complimentary, but I'd say it makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to call attention to what I'm eating because I find that people will say, oh, I can't believe you're going to eat that. Or, geez, you never eat anything that's bad for you. We're never, I feel like sometimes we're never happy, right? If somebody's eating healthy, we shame them for eating healthy. If they're not eating healthy, we shame them for that. And a lot of times I do think that we all do it, even me as a health coach. I found myself, saying, well, geez, you can't eat a little piece of candy. Like, how much dedication do you have to eating celery all the time? But it really, I think it's sometimes it's our own insecurity too, that we may be, I found that. Am I looking at somebody and saying, I wish I had more dedication? So that's why I'm commenting on their healthy choice. Or am I afraid that I haven't made great choices today, or I'm struggling with my wellness right now? So when I see them eating and maybe they don't look like they're struggling, I want to point it out because it's my insecurity. Like, oh, I can't believe you're going to eat all that. But I really think people do it unintentionally. And I think we have to be really careful, especially with children. Mm-hmm. We have a horrible epidemic in this country right now with child obesity. More children are having strokes than ever, which is alarming, between the ages of 5 and 12. And diabetes is on the rise. But with children, you have to be careful. The answer is not to teach them to be a food Nazi, because they are children. And they do need to feel a little bit like they fit in with the crowd. So I think a lot of it comes from education and just kind of checking yourself. Take a minute before you speak. If somebody's lost weight and you want to compliment them, I mean, I've had people say to me, well, what are you, sick or something? Like, well, that's nice. You could have just said, hey, you look like you've dropped a few pounds. You look good. But I think it's just taking a minute and phrasing it in a manner that is really complimentary and can't be construed in a way that, they might be really struggling with something. And what you say could really affect them. And you could be dealing with somebody who has an eating disorder, and you complimenting them on eating healthy could be something that they're struggling with every single minute of their life. So maybe you could say, geez, that looks good. I might have to try that sometime. Or, just choose words more carefully. I think it's really rampant, and I think we're all guilty of it.
So just to clarify, gosh, there was a lot of information in there.
I'm sorry.
No apologies necessary.
That one's top of my mind lately.
Because I just didn't realize that so many kids were having more strokes.
Yes.
I did not know that. And so just to clarify, so it would be best to kind of focus more on the food itself as opposed to the person who's eating it, or
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Commenting on the food, maybe saying, geez, I've never tried something like that. Or, tell me, or, if they eat a vegan lifestyle, I've had people shame people for eating vegan, and I've had vegan friends shame people for not eating vegan. Right. The reality is every single one of us is an individual, and no way of eating is the golden answer. It doesn't matter. And that's what I think it's important for people to realize, that everybody has different nutritional needs. It's not no carbs. It's not no meat. There's many, many variations that can bring people to really leading a very healthy life. And I like the way you said, like, focus on the food. Don't focus on the person and that they're eating it. Focus on the food itself, and not so much, if you don't like it or you think it's not healthy, or, sometimes, and the old saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, maybe just take a minute and zip it. Yeah. And move on. Tell them you like their shirt or something else. I think we just have to be a little bit more compassionate towards one another and choose our words a little more carefully.
Right. Because sometimes, like I said, those best intentions may not be warranted. They may not be welcome, rather, in that regard. Right. Thanks. Yeah. We got another question.
Okay.
Sean's asking, what's your best advice in developing with unresolved character or blind spots? And I'm guessing here, such as like selfishness, fear, arrogance, etc. Basically, like young leaders with, kind of how best to develop these unresolved character issues or blind spots that people may be having. What kind of advice could you give?
That's a really good question, because that can be very.
And Sean, the question is fine. So you just put it because it doesn't have to be a healthy eating question, because Jennifer's a phenomenal leader as well. So we want to tap into that too. So it's totally.
Okay. Thank you. That's very kind. I try to always operate with my team. I come from a place of, I do think that you have to be honest and you have to be direct with people. And sometimes people may not, like you said, they might have that blind spot. They may not realize that they're being arrogant or selfish. So, I had somebody one time on my team, and they kept saying to me, well, I've sent them X number of emails. I've done this and I've done that. And they weren't getting the response that they needed from the team they were working with. So after I let her get it out for a bit, I said, okay, so let's talk about the results you're getting. Are you getting what you need from them? No. Okay, so maybe now we can talk about another option, because you're communicating to them in a way that works for you. But different people have different communication styles. They have a different, at the time it was an office person communicating with field people. And I said, those field people are on the road, you are not. So they're not sitting behind a desk. Email may not be the best communication. Maybe you could give them a call and say, I'd love to set up time on your calendar to walk through this so you understand what the need is and we can figure out how to achieve the goal. So I gave her other options, but I was direct with her, without saying, well, hello, dummy, listen to yourself. You send someone 20 emails and they don't answer you. You don't think to pick up the phone. I didn't have to say it in a manner like that. I let her say, is it working? No. Okay, so maybe we could come up with a way that could work differently. And let me tell you why I think maybe it's not working. And when I opened her eyes to it, she said, okay, I get it. She was open to that. And then I had to kind of keep her challenged with that and make sure that I was keeping an eye as her leader to say, is she communicating ways? Is she really building relationships in ways that work for them and her? And I really kind of watched that progression so that I could continue to give her feedback.
So Jennifer, in that situation, how much trust would you say that person had in you?
I've always found that when you're direct and you're honest and you're compassionate, that people have trust in you. They will not always like what you say, because it will not always be a happy message. Right. But, and I, again, early in my career, I managed very, could be very tough union organizations. And you had to build a relationship of trust as a manager. And they always said, we did not always like what Jen had to say to us. We always trusted what Jen was saying to us. And I just feel that they know that, if you're always placating people, they eventually pick up on the fact that you're probably not defending them when their back is turned either. Right. Because you're placating somebody else.
It's such a great point. How oftentimes have we said, without trust, you have nothing. Yeah. And so when we're working with people on our team, we're trying to develop talent. We're trying to develop workplace skills that are going to help people get further, not only professionally, but also personally. When we have that trust, we can help them navigate some of those things where maybe they are coming across as being selfish in the workplace, or they're maybe inclined to throw people under the bus, or they have these, as blind spots, is what Sean was referencing, where they just maybe aren't familiar or aware of what it is that they're doing that could ultimately put them in a spot of not only professional jeopardy, but really tearing down some professional relationships. Yes. And as their leader, it's our duty in the sense of being able to really support them in a way that's going to give them the information they need. That may not always be the easiest thing to receive, but it can be done with a lot of heart.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. All right. So Jen, we're gonna start wrapping up here, and okay. You know me as a big game show fan, so we're gonna move into the bonus round real quick before we go. All right.
Okay.
So I asked Jen what her favorite game show was. She said Family Feud, Richard Dawson era. So we're talking like mid-70s here, right? So we're going old school with Family Feud. The great part about a great game is that the game stays the same over time. So with that, Jen, I didn't get a chance to survey 100 people. But if you had an opportunity to reach out to 100 people, or even more than that, but to simply tell them, what 3 things would you recommend to someone to help them to show up more energetically and professionally, be it either in their career or in their personal life? What 3 things would you tell them?
I would say, first of all, understand where your energy is currently and what energy you're trying to bring to the space. Secondly, do not be afraid to ask for what you want as well as what you need. And I always want people to be inspired. Find something that will inspire you, because it will drive you. You know, there's been times where I used to tell my younger sister sometimes, I don't care if you're out and you're walking and you've had a bad day, just let yourself hear the birds sing. It sounds silly, but there's people in the world that can't hear the birds sing. So be grateful you can. So always find something that will inspire you, to bring you back to recognizing what are your real problems and what are real problems. Because typically, you know, what you're facing is temporary.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. So Jennifer, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, connect with you, learn more about what it is that you do, how can they find you?
So I am on Facebook. I also am on Instagram, and I have my Gmail account that I am currently building my website. I do have an Arbonne website. I'm tying that into my overall website so that I'm trying to streamline things to make it easier for people. But I'm using my email right now to communicate people via email until my website is up and running, which I hope is going to be in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Got it.
So once I have that, if people are on my email list, I'll, or on my Facebook page, I'll be able to get that out to them.
So what is your email address?
jgmiller910@gmail.com.
All right, get that up here so we can show everybody. There we go. Just like that, right?
Just like that. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
And I offer, I always offer people a complimentary session to kind of talk about maybe some things that what their challenges are right now, and just kind of talk through things and see if, I can help bring some clarity for them, and then decide what path we need to go on.
Yeah. And I think that's so great. And I'm so proud of you, and I thank you for the time today and sharing a little bit of your story, and being a big part of all of this, and I'm glad I get to work with you, which is awesome.
Thank you. I love you. I am so glad you're in my life.
Same here. I love you too. And again, if you want to know more about Jennifer, you can connect with her on Facebook, on Instagram. You can email her at jgmiller910@gmail.com. And we know there's a website coming and a lot more interesting stuff. And if you don't have any of those things and you want to reach out to me as well, I am more than happy to connect you with Jennifer. So Jennifer, again, thank you so much. Thanks to everybody who's hung in and watched today. We hope we made your pre-evening, as Sheldon Cooper would say, a little bit easier and nicer. And look forward to another episode really, really soon. So Jennifer, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.